Welcome to the Animal Training Academy podcast show. I'm your host, Ryan Carledge, and I'm passionate about helping you master your animal training skills using the most positive and least intrusive approaches. Here at ATA, we understand that navigating the vast challenges you encounter in training requires a comprehensive base of knowledge and experience. It's common to face obstacles and rough patches on your journey that can leave you feeling overwhelmed and stressed. Therefore, since 2015, we've been on a mission to empower animal training geeks worldwide. We've aided thousands in developing their skills, expanding their knowledge, boosting their confidence, and maximizing their positive impact on all the animal and human learners they work with. We are excited to do the same for you. Simply visit www.atamember.com, join our vibrant community, and geek out with us. And of course, in the meantime, enjoy this free podcast episode as we explore new ways to help you supercharge your training skills, grow your knowledge, and build your confidence, so that you can craft a life that positively impacts every learner you encounter. But we will start today's episode where I'm absolutely thrilled to welcome back to the ATA podcast show, the wonderful Rose Browne. Now, if you haven't listened to the first part of our conversation, you can find it in the previous episode on whatever app you're listening to this show on. In that episode, we explored Rose's journey in getting started with positive reinforcement animal training and followed her through her career. However, if you haven't listened to it yet, you are, of course, welcome to start here with part 2. Where you will still gain plenty of insights to help you grow your skills, knowledge, and confidence in animal training. Let's introduce our guest, Rose Browne, who is a Karen Pryor Academy certified training partner, a furry certified professional animal trainer, and member of several prestigious organizations, including the International Association of Animal Behavior Consultants and the Canadian Association of Professional Dog Trainers. Rose authored the new Puppy Start Right for Instructors online preschool for the Karen Pryor Academy, which is the online integrative component for the original Puppy Start Right preschool for instructors. Since 1995, Rose has been deeply immersed in dog training and behavior. She owns Dynamic Canines and has extensive education in canine behavior from world-renowned professionals. She's a lifelong student, continually updating her knowledge with the latest scientific research to help pet parents incorporate practical, evidence-based training into their daily lives. Her passion lies in early intervention during puppyhood, which is what we're going to be diving into today. This helps ensure emotional well-being and prevent behavioral issues in the future. So without further ado, it's my very great pleasure to welcome Rose back to the show today, who's patiently waiting on the other side of the world in Labrador, Canada. Rose, thank you so much for taking the time to come and hang out with us at Animal Training Academy.
Thanks so much, Ryan. Delighted to be back and to do some talking about puppies.
Yeah, for this episode, everyone, super excited because it's so many people's favorite thing, puppies. I mean, who does not love puppies? As we learned about in part 1 and in your bio, puppies are a big focus of yours, with an emphasis on getting things right from the start with our dogs. And Rose, I believe you've put a list together for us of the 5 biggest things you believe trainers can do to teach emotional well-being in puppies and sexual help their puppy guardians. But maybe to get us started, can you just start in your words? Why is this so important to you? And what made you really want to share about this topic with the amazing ATA podcast audience?
Right. I became really passionate when I took the Puppy Start Right for instructors course from Debbie and Dr. Ken Martin when it launched back in 2012. I was gobsmacked. I have to be honest, because prior to that, puppy classes, even if they said they were socialization classes, they really weren't. They were obedience classes, for lack of a better term. They really weren't dealing with the issues that all puppy parents have. And especially like I said, potty training, kennel training, nipping, biting, all of the things that come in a puppy package that most people think, oh, that's nothing, and then they're like overwhelmed by it all. Trying to get a puppy to sleep through the night. None of these things were really addressed. But with the Puppy Start Right program, Puppy Start Right preschool, Debbie and Ken had done, this amazing job of designing a program that, while yes, you're starting teaching some skills and clicker training, really the primary focus was on living with puppy, dealing with these normal puppy behaviors, and also, most importantly, was it gave a clear definition of how to do proper socialization, right? Because it's still to this day, people think exposure is socialization. It's not, right? And then, it also went up against the grain at the time of, well, don't take your puppy out until they've had all their shots, right? Which is 16 weeks, So Debbie and Ken brought all of this information based on science, showing, the information and the research that showed that, hey, you know what? You can't wait till 16 weeks, right? This is your time to get started. And, they designed a program that, when incorporated right and following the correct safety protocols of how to set up, the environments or the classrooms, and that there was very little risk of puppies picking up, those contagious diseases during this time, because their immune system still isn't up to snuff, for lack of a better term. They do need those vaccinations and that. So, they found and designed a program that gave the right balance. But more importantly, their program is also designed not based on, okay, this week we're coming in, we're practicing sys days, we're doing this, we're doing that. Their program was actually designed based on themes. And that's what I really loved about it, because, we're doing health and handling this week, right? How many puppy classes have you gone into that are actually focusing on preparing puppies for going to vets? Preparing like wheels and children's toys, like understanding how to provide positive experiences of introducing your puppy to the world that's filled with wheels and children's toys. Obstacles and sounds, preventing. Everybody kind of already knew about fireworks and thunderstorms and that, but guess what? There's way more sounds. I mean, I don't know how many times dogs have ended up being traumatized by a smoke detector going off. So it designed it so that they're getting in early and setting the scene and giving the instructors the information and the tools of how to get in there and do it in a way that is at a level that the puppy can succeed at. And then you start building up, that resilience to it, and having those really good positive experiences. Because again, that's such a muddy term, I find too. People think positive experiences is, hey, I took the puppy out, right? And we're like, no. Positive is based on the puppy's opinion of the experience. Just because, this mindset of, your puppy must meet 100 people within the first 100 days. Well, that's crap. I never agreed with that, because again, that can tip to flooding, right? You got a scared puppy who's unsure of people. The last thing you want to do is having 100 strangers maul your puppy, right? So the Puppy Start Right program kind of was also, for me, it was kind of like, this is where we need to focus. This is where we need to begin. And so, I started teaching it. And again, I had to go, knocked down a lot of barriers with the vets because they were like, do not take your puppy to Rose's class until they're 16 weeks. But you know what? Again, you go out into the community, not with a shield, you go out to the community with the power of education and having that science and that information and those veterinary position statements from the American Veterinary Society of Animal Behavior, and going in, because you got to remember, vets are there to protect the health of your puppy too. So of course, we're not the ones who are seeing the parvo and distemper cases coming in that kill puppies, right? They absolutely are. And so when we look at that approach of just like, I totally respect what you're doing, but our program has been designed to protect as well in conjunction and keep your puppy safe so that we're not having a puppy who only comes out first time on a piece of grass in front of their house at 17 weeks of age, because we also know that lack of socialization and getting into those early days is just as detrimental, right, as a form of abuse, right? So, it really kind of started setting me on that path of, I want a Merle. I want your puppies, because, and the other thing is that, within the program, it gave us also the skills to identify that if we have an extremely fearful puppy or somebody that's not right for the program, guess what? We will take it and go private. Like, we can work with you. We can get you, in with a veterinarian to assess, to ensure, that there's nothing medical going on. And, and most importantly, it also designed it in a way that, the puppies also got to play with each other in, again, a very controlled, matched, appropriate play, right? And which was also really important because, again, this thing of, oh, I'll just let my puppy play with all the puppies, or I'm going to take him to the dog park to socialize. And when we know that, gosh, no, that's the worst thing you can do for a young puppy. But, trying to match them up. So the program really just kind of lit the fire underneath me for, I wish I had known then what I know now, in comparing it to what I had done with all of my previous dogs for their socialization. And once we got into that, and I started seeing the benefit of, the removal of a lot of frustration for puppy parents, right? Being able to address that nipping and using, ponytails as tug toys on the moms, right? Or, helping them work out what to do during Zoomy hour to kind of, and helping them understand about overtiredness is, crankies as when teeth come out. All of those different little components that the majority of us, in our field know, the average person doesn't, and is very frustrating. So when I saw the benefits of helping them get started on that, knowing that we had a good foundation there, actually the ones that still bring the most, I guess, reinforcement for me were the wallflower puppies that we would have come in through. So these were the puppies who, were not completely fearful, but just a little shy, a little unsure. And by being able to take what the skills and the tools that I had and kind of take everything and kind of soften it for the puppy to succeed, and giving them that kind of safe space to grow. It was amazing at the end of, the 4 and 5 weeks, the difference of those wallflowers, because they just blossomed and bloomed. And those were the ones that I was like, you know what? Today we prevented a fearful pup from developing severe fearful behaviors, right? And so, it was just like, oh my gosh, we need this more in the world. We need this early intervention. I also had puppies come in that were so fearful that, again, same thing. We were able to get them sorted and get them started on medication sooner rather than later, to help them start to develop, so that, just a little bit of medical support, and working with the veterinarians in my community, that, they just needed a little bit of medical support, which really kind of helped that also build their confidence and start building that resilience that, without it, it would have been a completely different picture. So I think it's because I just saw so much change in the pups and the benefit. And more importantly, the benefit of getting to the human end of the leash, so that they didn't resort to me and the puppy in the chest, right? When at 5 months now they're jumping and nipping, right? And I can't handle it anymore, because guess what? It seems there's this like complete switch generally of the tolerance level, that when you hit 5 or 6 months, people no longer think your puppy behaviors are cute, right? So helping people understand the behavior of a puppy and what was normal and what isn't normal, and then, lots of fun, I have to say. And I love the ingenuity that some of the clients came up with in trying to, keep their puppies from chewing on things, and just kind of giving them just the tools to kind of be able to start thinking for themselves and understand that, oh, it's okay to use a lot of management in these early days, because guess what? Your puppy's too young to be able to, quote unquote, know obedience skills, right? And obedience skills does not help when puppy's digging in a couch. Sit got nothing to do with the need for digging. You know what I'm saying? So helping people understand that and helping give them, proper outlets and ideas for enrichment, and doing all of that. And it just, it also just got their relationship started off on the right paw together, because honestly, puppy instructors at that age, we spend a lot of time also consoling and comforting. A lot of people get the puppy blues, right? And so helping them talk that out, and like, this is okay, because I think what happens too is that people also fail to realize that it is a very tangly, tiring time when you bring a new puppy into your home. Your life is literally turned upside down, because you got to get everything sorted with your puppy and on schedule, and your routine is changed. But it will get better, right? And the earlier you can help them have those plans and know what to do, it makes it so much more easier. So it's just truly, it's kind of the whole picture of just like, yeah, and 1 ounce of prevention is so worth a pound of cure.
So let's transition into. Thank you for all of that. Thanks for setting the stage for our listeners, and wherever you are on your puppy training journey, or you're just maybe you're doing something else and you're just interested in learning about this topic, and maybe you've been doing it for years, or maybe you're just getting started. What are the 5 biggest things that you believe trainers, wherever they are, can do to teach emotional well-being in puppies, and, as you just talked about then, help their parent guardian clients? Can you start us off, please, with
all right.
first one?
So I have lots, but I'll stick it to 5, but I actually have 6. Okay. So I'm just going to go through the list and certainly interject and ask any questions that you have. Number 1 is the education piece. We need to teach people how dogs learn, right? We don't have to get into the nitty gritty, the neurobiology, because it's quite simple. It's association, safe or unsafe. Helping them understand that most of what puppies are learning is by association. It's, as I always say, it truly is all about feels. Does it feel good? Does it feel fun? And that's so important when it comes to understanding how to properly socialize, because you just don't go through the socialization list. No, we got to ensure that each association and new experience the puppy is having is something that the puppy feels good about, even if they're unsure in the beginning. We can do that. So helping them understand how dogs learn, because they assume that puppies love everything. Puppies love all people. Puppies love all dogs. And that's so far from the truth. Number two is body language, which I don't think will be a surprise to any trainer. People are really good at reading the extremes of body language in dogs, extremely happy, extremely fearful, but not everything in between, right? I don't know how many times people will say, "Oh, are you tired? Are you tired?" And yet the puppy's yawning because they're stressed. So helping them learn about the canine, just basics to help get them started so they can learn to read their own puppy. But here's the other thing. Body language needs to be learned for the human side too. This is something I don't think people have a tendency to focus on when we're looking at teaching body language, because a lot of our body language that we do, right? Because remember, dogs are the experts at reading body language. But oftentimes there's a lot of stuff in our body language that we do that is actually threatening to a dog. So helping people understand some of those core human body language things that we do, that can cause a negative or a fearful response in the puppy. And also ways to make it a fun response, instead of leaning forward to the puppy when you're trying to get him, lean back, open your arms, so, good and bad things. It's not always negative, helping them. Again, this ties into back to, part of the body language, but it's really understanding and helping pet parents understand what those emotional responses look like, because it can be different for each dog, the subtleness and everything else like that. And when I'm talking about emotional responses, a big component of that is helping them understand the components of stress, right? The good stress, tolerable, and toxic stress. I'm quoting Dr. Christina Spalding, who has been such a mentor and a wonderful teacher of mine too. And, her book about stress is phenomenal. The course is even better. And, it's really helping them understand, the basics of stress, because not all stress is bad, right? And pretty much every experience that brand new puppies into the world are going to have is going to start with a form of stress. Most of it hopefully will always be tolerable, where they may not be like 100% sure first time seeing something or whatever, but like within a few minutes or even a few different experiences, they're like, this is great, so that's really important too. And number 5 is ensuring people understand what positive proactive experiences are, otherwise known as socialization. You have to teach people how to do it right, right? We only get one chance at a first impression. And so teaching them that, and then ensuring that they're doing a rinse and repeat, because there's no good saying I went through all of my socialization checklist once and thinking it's done for life, because it's not. All right. So that's really important. This may sound kind of ironic, but I've always said, I don't care if your puppy or dog can sit till they're about 1 year of age, so long as they're having a great time every time they're out in the world and within their home with good experiences. Some of the most resilient, happiest social dogs I've ever met have never stepped foot inside of quote unquote an obedience school, right? Because they've just had those positive, proactive experiences. Number 5, helping people learn to let their puppies be a dog. This is paramount. Providing, and we even know more now with more research in recent years, why it's so important that we're providing outlets for those individual dog breeds, because not all dogs are the same. A terrier might enjoy having a sand pit to dig to their heart's delight, and give it to a French bulldog, and they're like, am I supposed to lie on this? So you have to know the individual breed, the tendencies, but giving them outlets, letting them go on safari's in safe areas, especially for young puppies. Stop trying to stick the 6-foot leash on them from day one. We know so much about mental enrichment, being able to sniff. I mean, that is where they get their social information about the world around them. This also, and again, giving them some agency, letting them have a say in the conversation and control. If a puppy is trying to shy away from meeting a person or another dog, or a kid on a bike, you know what? Don't be pulling on the leash to try to get them to go, and say, that's okay. That's okay. That's just Johnny on his bike. Nah. So letting them understand that if puppy puts the brakes on, hey, this is a conversation. Respect what you're hearing. And we can do that. And it's so easy to do that. And people are actually quite relieved to know, like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that, And then also letting them have some independence. This was one of my epiphanies that came to me during the pandemic, and resulted in me creating independence trails for puppies. And it's applicable to dogs of all ages, really good for shelter dogs and that too. Because guess what? We have been inadvertently squashing a puppy's independence from the moment we bring them home because of our micromanagement of them. Like, we can't let them out of our sights. We're continuously taking them out of their things. If we design some independence trails that set up for them in safe areas and let them venture onto those trails with those different setups, we are actually, again, giving them agency, control, and a sense of independence. And also keeping them safe, right? So the last thing, I know, I've done the 5. Here's number 6. It's letting people know, whether it's puppies, cats, kittens, horses, doesn't matter. All trainers. There is one thing no trainer can train, but everybody is able to do it. And that is be an influencer. Be the positive influencer in your dog's life. I cannot train happy. I can train a sit. I cannot train happy. Only the dog or any other animal that you're with can control how they feel. But the most important thing is, by setting them up with puppies and doing this the right way, we can influence their environment and our interactions with them, so that we create that really, as I always say, the rock solid, good, emotional, well-rounded pup, right? Who's able to kind of bounce back from anything and have that resilience. But if we're influencing in a more negative than we are in a positive way, whether it's our interactions or the experiences that we're providing them, and not recognizing those signs of stress or emotional distress as particularly, then it doesn't matter how well they can sit if they don't feel good about it. So that's my top 5 plus bonus 1 ways we can help with those emotional well-being pups.
I have some questions for you, but before we do,
Okay.
can you just list out the 6 again, just the titles, if you have titles or broad ideas of the 6 again, and then we'll ask some questions.
Titles? Sorry?
Or the points, like, just list out the 6 things.
Oh, just list them out. Okay. How dogs learn, body language for canines and humans, what their emotional responses look like, stress, good, tolerable, toxic, creating positive, proactive experiences, letting them be a dog, and the one thing no trainer can ever train, but everyone can do it, is be an influencer.
All right, wonderful. Thank you for that. So let's
You're welcome.
hold all of that in our minds, everyone. And I'm curious, you're working on some big projects at the moment, but there was a time when you were more heavily involved, would you say, in puppy classes and
Oh
working with
yeah.
puppy parents. So
Hmm.
explain to me and the podcast audience
Right.
the I'm going to say the avatar, the average client, the middle of the bell curve. What does the average puppy owner client look like? Create a character. Tell me who they are. A little bit
Oh
about kind of
my.
what their problems are, how old their puppy is, what kind of things they're seeing. Explain the average person that would come to you.
Okay. All right. So, uh, yeah. So the average person that come to me often, um, it's kind of 50-50 because some had kids. It was kind of like a split between people with younger kids in their family or a young couple, and this was their first child together. So that was about the demographics for the majority of my pups. So they would come um, and a lot of the average client came with not so much unrealistic expectations, but feeling overwhelmed because there was way more than what they had prepared for, right? Or thought was going to be. So, it was kind of here was the major things: house training, right? Nipping, not sleeping through the night, or um, just they got teeth in the body, right? Uh, so that kind of was the top three initial concerns, you know. And the other thing, a good chunk of them also had was that they'd also had previous dogs in the past who had behavior issues. And so this time, when they found out there was classes that they could get in early, they ran for it, which was really good, right? Because again, it was kind of like, oh, I don't want to have happen what happened with my last dog. So, and of course, they were also looking for the socialization piece, which often most of them, again, were going with that cultural fog that's out there of its exposure. Um, so yeah, so socialization, they were the primary behavior concerns when they first came in, and but again, they all came in loving their pups. Nobody was coming in was like, oh, I was just given this puppy. What do I do with it? They were all somewhat prepared, some better than others. Some had done research, some bought puppies on a whim. Um, and then unfortunately, a good chunk of them also bought them online. And, when puppy arrived, not what they expected. So, but that was kind of like, do you just want to get them socialized? And guess what? Really, what they were looking for was just a family pet that they could enjoy. These weren't people who were coming in. I did have folks come through who were planning on doing sports or service dog training, but 98% of the clients were just looking for a family pet. Does that answer the
Okay,
question of the
it
average?
does.
Okay.
It does. And I'm going to come back to this. So
Okay.
run us through those six things again. I'm going to write them down this time so I don't have to keep asking you.
All right. How dogs learn, body language, canine and human, what their emotional responses look like, stress, good, tolerable, and toxic, proactive, positive experiences, letting them be a dog, and the one thing no one can train, but everyone can do it, and that's to be an emotional influencer.
How dogs learn, body language, what their emotional responses look like, stress, and everything you said about that. Proactive,
Yeah.
positive experiences, let them be a dog and be an
Hmm.
influencer, not an
Be an
Instagram
influencer.
influencer, a positive emotional influencer.
Yeah.
All right, Rose, we're going back 10 years.
Okay.
I am me and my partner, kidless. We just got our first dog. Oh my God, we're so excited.
Yay.
We watched Marley and Me, and like we're like we want a child just like that. And that's what we thought we were getting, but Rose, I'm incredibly overwhelmed. I don't know. I think we might have made a bad decision. There's dogs weeing all over the house. It's nipping us and pulling my ponytails. We haven't slept well for weeks. Um, we just wanted a dog that could be part of our family, Rose. And
Mhm.
we had a dog in the past. They had some challenges, and we didn't know about these classes. So as soon as we heard about it, we signed up. What does that person's journey look like? Taking those things you just shared with us,
Yeah.
the six, like
Yeah.
how would you help these people and guide them through those six
So
steps?
what, again, I keep coming back to this Puppy Start Right program because so much of stuff was there that we could, like, here's some, look, I have a resource here right for you because, we have the book, Puppy Start Right, published book, and then of course the videos and that. So we could get them all started up right away. And the other thing too, the beauty about that program, I should have said, was that I also offered free auditing of the class prior to committing. So people could see exactly what it was. Okay. Um, but these guys didn't audit the class, but they came in and they want to get in on the program. Great. So I'd have the package for you. I'd talk through. I'd also offer, um, you know, a, a, just give me a quick rundown. Let me see what I can help you with immediately. Because again, I'm there to help and support. Or if they're really overwhelmed, oftentimes they say, you know what, I can come to your home. We can book in a private session. Let me come over and let's see what's taking place, and let me give you a routine that's probably doable for you, especially, and let's get concentrated on the house training because that is like one of the top three reasons dogs get relinquished. So, yeah, so I'd be there to help them right away, right? So it's not just a matter of here's the program, good luck to you. It really is stepping in to provide that support, which, as I said, other puppy classes, programs that were available here, it was just like, well, just make them sit for everything, or don't, we're going to implement nothing in life is free, like seriously, uh, or take away all the toys, like, or put them in the crate. These would be some kinds of solutions. That's not helpful, but I'd go and I would I provide them some like first thing I do is like, here's the house training schedule. You need to adhere to this, like it's commitment that makes the difference to successful house training, and the commitment has to be on your side, right? And then talk about safe confinement, or setting up that area. And then same thing, like nipping is often a result of no proper outlet, right? Like tug or how to play or interact. And sometimes it can also be like your puppy's really tired, so you've had them on the go for 8 hours today because you're going from one place to another. Yeah, no, they actually need more hours of sleep right now. So they need rest. They need quiet time. You're not putting them away, right? So helping them kind of understand the high levels right there on the spot. People are like, oh, really? Oh, gosh. Oh, no, that's great. House training schedule? Yes, absolutely. You can even get apps to download. And then also, letting them know, like, you need to track this because guess what? UTIs are quite common in young puppies too. And so we know how often puppies go, and it might be indicative of a UTI. And I'm going to tell you, that was so frequent in my classes when I'd say to people, like, are you tracking? And you're like, no. It's like, I think you need to go back to tracking. This seems like it could be something. And sure enough, they go, and it was a UTI. So again, it was, people were like, oh my gosh, we did. I said, yeah, that's the power of data. You're able to present it to the vet and say, he went this many times. But yeah, so it's kind of like, I do have this package, and we have the book, we have the materials, we have the videos. And of course, the last going off where I developed the online program, because hey, what do you do when the world shuts down and you have puppies, 16 puppies on the roster? When we did come back, I found it so beneficial of teaching what I call the human component and the problem solving concerns online, because it really was a good time to have the full attention of the parents in that I didn't go back to bringing that into the classroom. I actually just went back to hosting sociables, right? And doing the other stuff. So the parents got to come in and have fun and know that their answers were being answered that week in our online portion of the class. So yeah, so how do you feel about that now, Ryan? Do you think you can hold on to puppy now?
Yeah, what am I gonna learn in these sociables? How does that work? And somewhere in there I heard you say independent trails. What is an
Right. There's a
independent
story
trail?
behind the independence trails. Yeah. Um, so sociables are where we have the setups and we have obstacles and different instruments or music or, vet's office or whatever, where the puppies get to come in. And the first part, is we have a puppy play. Again, they have to be matched. It has to be the right match for the puppy. And these aren't big classes. Okay, just so you know, they're not like 18, 20 pups, right? It's like 6 puppies. Um, and so we match and divide according to each individual puppy, right? So they get to have puppy play if it's appropriate for that puppy. And then we get to go around and they get to explore and interact with all of these weird and novel items and objects and go through tunnels and see little trains going by making choo-choo sounds, moving toys, that sing and dance, the llama wiggling her bum and all of those kind of things. So each week we would lay out some things we kept the same because it's nice to have something that's consistently the same. So especially for puppies who are just growing confidence, we're exposing them to the same safe thing. Uh, and we just vary those interactions for the pups. So we'd also teach people how to greet a puppy, and practice on those skills, right? Of puppy name and just having their attention and just really ensuring that hey, they're going out and they're like having a great time and there's no pressure and the puppy gets to explore and experience the world in a safe place. So that's what sociables look like. We just don't give them beer, you know.
Hmm.
It's like hanging out at the bar with a group of new fun friends.
And then you said you moved your would you call it educational pieces? What's involved in the
Yeah, so
online?
yeah, so the puppy start right online. Like I said, I ended up writing the component, the sister basically to the in-person class. I took in-person and put it online, and wrote it for instructors so they could start teaching and that online. And this came as a result of the pandemic. So each week in each of the classes, we do have basically, behavior topics, right? That's done, that rotates according to each theme. So, for example, house training, right? Have that information or whatever, if they're having house training issues, we're going to be discussing that, right? So it provides that open forum so people can ask the questions, or if they're still having concerns, they're not just left like, what to do about biting. Let's dig a bit deeper about biting and nipping, right? Let's talk about creating that vet visit. Like, why is it that we want you to start, helping your puppy learn to be cuddled? Let's show you how to pick up your puppy in the right way, so they don't fly out of your arms or you're not squeezing their belly. So these are all different things that, they're not really problems to begin with, but they become problems if they can't get it resolved, right? So each week there are set topics that are covered. And, we were doing that in person, but it was actually, more beneficial online because guess what? I'm not missing out what Ryan said that he's having an issue with because I got to take puppy outside the potty, right? So we designed a class that the information and the work that we're doing with the puppy, which is very minimal, is just enough to kind of review how they're doing with different things. We do that all just at the beginning because it's too tiring for a puppy and they get too distracted. And then we move on, and then we spend a good chunk of the other part like helping them problem solve. So you actually get to have more interactive time and provide support by using the online combined with the in-person sociables. Yeah. I mean, you can teach it either way, but personally I found that then the person got double, that interaction and then, being able to have that Q&A time. Yeah.
I'm switching back into my fake persona of
Okay.
childless Ryan. I don't even know, can't even remember what that looked like. But okay, Rose. Well, thank you for telling me about how your program works. So, like, what you're basically
Sure.
telling me, Rose, is that I'm going to do all of these things, and then my life's going to look exactly like the Marley and Me movie. Is that what you're saying?
You know what, Ryan? I'm going to do my best to ensure that we get you and your puppy started together on the right path for life. But I'm also going to burst a bubble and help you understand that this is just the beginning. There's loads of things that we need to continue to work on. So let's get you over. This is the busiest part of having a puppy because there are so many essential components we need to get a handle on now that have nothing to do with quote unquote manners or obedience. So once we get that, then we can continue to focus on building onto the skills we've started in the class. Yeah. But here's the thing. You're going to love your puppy. There aren't, we used to often joke in the classroom, they say, who had a Kijiji moment this week and took their puppy's picture and was ready to place them up on the for sale sign? So, because it's real, right? And I think that's really beneficial when we tell people instead of trying to like, oh no, that's fine, it's just a puppy. You know what? It is just a puppy. Still doesn't make it any fun when I got a set of tiny needle teeth planted in the back of my ankle as I'm trying to walk to the bathroom, So I think that's keeping it real for people and helping them learn to take that breath, and also asking them not just what's going on. Like we always started off our classes like, tell us one of your best experiences you had with, or one of the funnest things that you had done with your puppy this week. Don't come to me, my puppy done this, that, and the other thing. Yeah, okay, they're going to. And I'm not being saucy when I say that. I'm like, that's because your puppy's normal. This is going to happen, right? And it's a process, and it's a lot of repetition, right? And guess what? Sometimes it's a lot of 2 steps forward, 3 back, right? So,
Well, thanks so much for sharing everything, Rose. I could just keep asking questions, but
I
I'm
know.
looking at the time and thinking this is probably a good place to wrap up. And if people have more questions, then they can, of course,
Yeah.
reach out to you, and we'll tell you how to do that shortly. Before we do, though, Rose, there's one question I love to ask all my guests. And we've been doing this for, I think, I don't even know, 7, 8, maybe 8, maybe even more than that. We've been doing this a while, and we've been asking this
Mm-hmm.
question the whole time. So it's cool because we kind of reached a point where we can go back to the start of our podcast show and listen to what the answers to this question were back then. The question is, what would you like to see happen over the next 5 to 10 years in the animal training world? If you want to stick to puppies, that's completely fine as well. Paint for us the future.
Okay.
A lot's
All right.
happened in 5 to 10 years of COVID, as you said, and
It
everything
is.
else. Where
Yeah.
are we going though? What do you really
Yeah.
want to see happen?
Okay. So I'm going to try to keep this quick so as not to go too long. I this is my wish list. All right. I'd really, and there is some movement starting towards it. National legislations in all countries and certifications for trainers. Total worldwide ban on the use of corrective collars and electronic fences. Breeder licensing. Again, it's starting. We need it to spread. I'd like to see fare-free everything as the norm. Vet clinics, groomers, shelters, trainers. I I'm hoping, because it seems to be going, is of course continued research. We're getting so much more research in and seeing this come out. It's phenomenal. It's so beneficial for us all. I'd like to see programs being changed that come away from the traditional outdated manners classes and focus on designing programs that are based in real life and how to transfer those skills to those lives for each individual dogs. And also that all basic programs, every program, include at minimum basic canine or animal education for pet parents. That just becomes the standard, right? So that everyone who's teaching a program, regardless if it's puppies, adults, shelters, that every person gets educated on dogs, basic education, the body language. We're missing that important component. Lots of people are doing great work at it. There just isn't enough. We need to spread it. And again, communities are coming together to do that, right? Also design programs that are built on less is more. If nothing, we learned through the pandemic about overwhelm and too much. And again, too often we're trying to cram all the things of teaching a dog into 8 weeks. It's not possible. People drop out, people can't complete it. Again, if we use less is more and provide a model that's based on real life, that would be phenomenal. It takes so much pressure off the person, but most importantly, it takes pressure off the dog. And also incorporating into those programs, again, outlets for those dogs, right? I think enrichment should be a part of that standard. Everybody should be educated on enrichment, and also stop using pass and fails in manners programs for everyday life. It doesn't do good to compare one dog to the next. Different if you're in sports competitions, or something that has a set criteria, agility or whatever, that's different. But for the average pet person, I don't want to go in and be in a class where, my puppy, because they didn't, hold a sit stay for more than 5 seconds, they failed. That's so wrong. And it's not where positive reinforcement needs to be focused. Nobody fails. We're all learning, and every dog and person learns at their own individual pace. And so helping people learn to work at their dog's level, not where they want to be, is so important. So that's just some of my highlights. I could go on, but yeah. And I really like the way things are going. I think it's just going to continue. But that's my wish list.
Well, awesome. That is definitely a future I want to live in. And I'm sure as a listener of the show, you're resonating with that as well. Again, so much gratitude, Rose, for everything you've shared today. Before we officially wrap up, though, I think that's the second time I've said that. I know we mentioned this in part one, but can you just remind everyone listening where they can go to find out more about you, what you do, and get in touch?
Absolutely. So I live in St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada. Newfoundland and Labrador, Canada, sorry. My website is dynamiccanines.ca. You can contact me directly for there. And, if anybody has any questions or comments, good, bad, or anything in between, hey, I love hearing feedback. So it'd be great to hear from you, but certainly happy to speak to anyone that's interested in puppies. I love puppies. And not because they're cute, but because we could get to have so much influence over setting them up right for life. Plus, they're cute.
Fantastic. And we will, of course, link to all of us in the show notes as well. Rose, this has been so much fun. So from myself and on behalf of everyone listening, again, we really appreciate you taking the time to come and hang out with us today. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ryan. Honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure. And so insightful with the questions that you asked. You're a phenomenal host, and I can see why your podcasts are just so successful. So thank you for having me. Enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you so much for listening as well. This is your host, Ryan Cartledge, signing off from this episode of the Animal Training Academy podcast show. We hope today's conversation inspired you and equipped you with new tools for your trainer's toolbox. Remember, every challenge in training is an opportunity to learn and sharpen your animal training geekery. Embrace the rough patches, learn from them, and keep improving. And don't forget, the path to growing your skills and expanding your knowledge continues beyond this episode. Visit www.atamember.com to join our supportive membership, where you will find a community of trainers just like you. Together, we're making a huge positive difference in the lives of animal and human learners worldwide. Until next time, keep honing your skills, stay awesome, and remember, every interaction with an animal or human learner is your opportunity to create ripples. We're here cheering you on every step of the way. See you at the next episode.